We had the last session of our 4-month Women's Leadership Series, our small group coaching. So every 2 weeks we met for a couple of hours, and back in January when we started, everyone identified what their finish line goals were. So we celebrated the starting line that everybody had chosen to commit to themselves, had hit the pause button on their life to come in and think about what they wanted. And then we're acting every single month, every 2 weeks, by identifying the next step, the next baby step towards their finish line goals. Well, last night was the last session, and we ended with an activity called the commitment line. And everybody, I looked at and acknowledged what they had accomplished over the last 4 months, and then started to explore what's next. How do they want to keep moving forward and keep building the momentum in a thoughtful way, in an intentional way? And so part of what they did is identified what is next. And then they wrote down 3 things they want to say yes to and 3 things they want to say no to. And that's my question for you today. What is the yes that you are craving in your life, but you're not making space for because you're overwhelmed, saying yes to things that aren't high on your passion or priority list? What is the no that you wish you had permission to say? Pause and think about, how could you create an intentional, a thoughtful yes and no in your life right now? It's powerful. They're 2 small words, and many of us throw them around without much thought. Maybe you can relate to some of these examples. Somebody on your team or in your company emails you and says, hey, can you, and then fill in the blank, can you lead this project? Can you get this report done? And you just blindly say yes, without thinking about the impact of saying yes or getting clear on the expectations and the timeline and the accountability. How often do you say no to things that you really wish you could say yes to? Oh, I can't go to yoga today. I've got too much to do. No, I can't go for a walk over the lunch hour. I've really got to stay in and pound through these emails. We do it all the time. And so when you can create an intentional yes, a thoughtful yes, and a thoughtful no, you can pause and think about the consequences before you respond, right? So that's a tool and a trick that I use all the time now. I never used to, but when I get asked to do something, even if it's something fun, like, do you want to go to this concert on Friday night? My default behavior was just look at my calendar and see if it was free and reply yes or no. Now I pause and I think, okay, it's Friday night. It's an hour before I need to go. What's my energy? And I sort of try to put myself into that space, that headspace. And I pay attention to the answers to those questions of that visualization. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's Friday night and I can't wait. It's a hell yes. And sometimes the realization that comes is, it's Friday night and I'm thinking, why did I say yes to this? What was I thinking? And then I give my response is a thoughtful no, like, oh, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm going to pass. I hope you have a great time at the concert. Give yourself that gift of pausing to think. And if that is a tool that helps you, great. Imagine you say yes and you play this out, or imagine you say no and you play it out. I did that when I was asked to be on the board of the Urban League. Huge passion. That organization aligns with my mission and values. So the instinct, the autopilot, the knee-jerk response was for me to say yes when I got asked if I would be interested. But I've learned the hard way. I had decades of practice of doing this the hard way, of saying yes reactively without really pausing to think about it. I learned that I needed to pause in that moment and think about, okay, so huge commitment, time commitment. I started to look at my calendar and the evenings of when the board meetings would be and what committee I would serve on and what the impact would be on my daughters. As a single mom, having 2 more nights away from them is a big deal. And so I gave a very compassionate no. And it wasn't a no period, it was not yet, not right now. I'm not in the life stage where I can do this, but please keep me in mind. I would love to be on it in the future. Sometimes it's a straight out no. Sometimes it's a not yet. Sometimes it's a no, but let me write you a check so that I can contribute to your mission. Or I've got someone else who I think would be great if you're looking for new board members. She just said one of her goals in 2019 is to have more service and more servant leadership. Whatever it is, just be intentional about it. So that's my challenge to you today. Make your own commitment line. What are you going to say yes to, and what are you going to say no to? And then make it happen. And if you want your own little celebration, one of the things we did last night is we created a physical line, and we had everybody stood on one side. There were 25 women. Everybody stood on one side with their yeses and nos, and they said, how do I want to be received when I cross over this line? Some people wanted high fives, some people wanted hugs, some people wanted silence. And they stood and declared out loud what they were saying yes to and what they were saying no to. Talk about increasing accountability to declare it out loud. So think about also, who do you want to declare this to? If you wanted to declare it to me, great. I'd love to be your accountability partner. And then they read and shared their yeses and nos, and then they symbolically walked across the commitment line and were received, sometimes with eruption of applause or laughter or high fives, whatever. So make up your own commitment line as well. Make it real. Find support and accountability. I would love to support you in saying thoughtful yeses and nos. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Thoughtfully Fit Thursday, and happy Easter for those of you who celebrate. Have fun hiding and finding those Easter eggs. Thank you.